Hello, captains. This is your captain speaking, USS Endeavor, wanting to say a special thank you to everyone tuning in. As this drops on Thanksgiving Day in 2023, I just wanted to let each and every one of you know how much you mean to me and how much I am very thankful for your support over this last year. It's been an amazing ride. We've seen a lot of subscribers come, hopefully to get a lot more along the way. But I just wanted to pause real quick and say thank you. Now on to the video, and we are taking a look at the newly buffed legendary tier American heavy cruiser, the Alaska. A cruiser which is the very first legendary ship that I ever researched in the Bureau way back in the day. And I've had this in my port for quite a while, but it never really fit my play style. But let's look at the buffs that this thing received, which it got quite a bit of. As you can see, it got a main firing buff to its range. Not by much, but a little bit. Its main battery reload time has been reduced by 2 seconds. Its HP and HP distribution has been improved across the board, making it a lot tankier of a ship. The entire sonar consumable has been improved from the duration, the ship, and torpedo detection. The only downside is that your fire duration has increased from 30 seconds to 45 seconds, which, to be honest, is not that big of a downside. Overall, this is a huge buff. So looking at that, let's take a look at the ship stats that they currently are. This is actually the first time I'm featuring the Alaska. So this is going to be kind of like a fresh perspective from my part. So let's take a look at the commander to start. We're going free to play here, and this is Norman Scott, which is a free commander. I really like his base perk, which helps with the grouping. Mbeli, which is also a free commander, and Makawa is going to help with our overall concealment and main battery reload. With Beyond Range, Igniter, then we have Punch Through, helping with our AP shells a little bit better. Fixated for better grouping and dispersion, and lastly, Fully Packed to give us the most out of our consumables. On to the actual mod selections, we got Turret Traverse in the first slot, Propulsion in the second. Third, we're running our Concealment Systems mod. And in the last, which is not a legendary, we're doing the Bone Stock Main Battery mod 3. The consumables themselves, which we get a little bit extra. We have the sonar, the newly reworked sonar. The radar, which is still really good, although it's more used for team support rather than you utilizing it yourself. 4 heals, which makes this very tanky of a ship and gives you a little bit better of survivability than the 60,800, the newly 60,800 that you have, which is quite a bit of a buff. 13% torpedo damage reduction hasn't changed, and the armor hasn't changed, but the HP distribution has. Onto the artillery itself, you have 305mm shells in a 9-gun, 6 in the front, 3 in the back configuration, which is pretty standard. 15.3 second reload time with this build, and really good AP shells for a cruiser, which almost hits for 10,000 per Citadel hit. So these shells are really good because they also have the improved penetration angles that the Americans enjoy. Your AA defense for an American cruiser, heavy cruiser, is respectable. It's not the best out there, but it's not the worst either, so it's okay. But you don't really see a lot of legendary carriers at this tier, so just not many people play them. The maneuverability, it is pretty fast. 34 knots, 850-meter turning circle radius leaves us something a little bit to be desired. Feels more like a battleship. 13-second rudder shift time is pretty standard for a heavy cruiser. Concealment, though, is actually pretty darn good at 10.8 kilometers. This is a really big, long ship, and the fact that you can get this thing down to 10.8 kilometers by sea is pretty good. And so let's look at the armor. I won't go over all of the HP distribution. You can look back and see it for yourself, but it's a 32mm bow, which helps to angle against 16-inch shells. You have a 27mm side, which can get overmatched. However, your Citadel sits below the waterline and is pretty well protected by that top deck armor. And here's a little bit of a different look of the armor scheme. So up close, this thing, it's hard to Citadel up close, or just in general. All right, captains, we're on the map Riposte. It's a domination game mode. I'm by myself. I spawn across from Alpha, and we have 3 destroyers per side. So this is going to be a pretty good game, if I must say so myself. Now, one of the things that Durka talked about when he showcased the Alaska was if you're sitting still in this thing, you're doing it wrong. Well, it's not always that way. Positioning, I think, is key, and we're going to have really good positioning, especially with this island that kind of juts into Alpha. But we're going to get into a little bit of trouble early on that if I don't have help from my teammates, could have made my life a lot worse here at the beginning, and you'll see what I'm talking about whenever we get there. So strap in, captains. This one's going to be fun. We're going to face a pretty overwhelming force on this side as the vast majority of the ships end up migrating over here, which will make Charlie Cap a little bit easier to grab. And so here we go. We're going to push into Alpha. We want to support our destroyer just in case we end up having to face a destroyer, which is very likely. We also have the radar at our disposal, and we have 3 of each of them, which is one of the reasons why I love fully packed. Plus, if you got teammates that stick close enough to you, you can get those consumables back rather quickly. Here we see the Conqueror, and he has devastating HE, even here at this level. And here I get spotted, which is not from the Conqueror because the island is concealing me, or should. So there is a destroyer that is out there in the open water, kind of off to the right side of my screen. I don't know what it is at this point, but I do realize that it is something that is spotting me, which is not good. The Conqueror, being the, competent battleship player that they are, is going to utilize that spotting. And unless we are able to take out whatever that destroyer is, I'm pretty much fair game for this Conqueror, and his HE can burn me down rather quickly. Can't bow tank against his HE shells, which are fantastic. So whatever it is that is out there, we need to take care of fast. Here at this point in the video, I want to show a little bit of a mistake that I made. As I got set on fire twice, I immediately damage conned it because that's what my gut instinct tells me to do. But because those torpedoes are coming in from the Shimakaze, I shouldn't have done that. Yes, I get my damage cons back rather quickly, but if one of those if that torpedo that hit the island there would have gotten through and hit me, more than likely it would have caused a flood, and I would have taken a lot more damage than I had. So that was a misplay on my part. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to call out whenever I screw up. I shouldn't have damage conned when I did. However, the Shimakaze does get lit back up. He is spotted by something other than me, and we are able to take him out with the help of our teammates. And now that he is down, that spotting is no longer available for the Conqueror, even though he is able to get another shot on me as I was spotted long enough for those shells to go in the air. He did set me on fire, and normally I would never put out a single fire, but because I am safely concealed behind the island and in Alpha Cap, I felt confident being able to take that damage con with only 1 fire. And as you can see, I am not lit. I am well concealed, and I'm able to get these shots off on the Conqueror, and now he is in trouble. And not to be deterred, he takes a blind fire shot at me, but unfortunately they fall short and hit the island. He knows I'm still there, but there's really not much he can do about it. He can't target me. And then the Schlieffen off my right-hand side tells me, hey, come support me, I'm going to push out. Which normally, after the destroyer threat is gone, I understand his methodology and his thinking behind doing that. But if you look on the left-hand side of my screen, right next to where it says Alpha, there are 4 ships. There's an Alaska and 3 battleships, along with the Conqueror and another cruiser that's out there. So there were 6 ships that came over here. The destroyer is now down, so it's really 5. But this Schlieffen pushed a little too soon. Now he's asking for support. And as much as I want to support him, I'm not going to push out there like he did and get myself focused like he is currently getting right now. So I hate it for you, dude. I really do. But that was a move that you made just a little too soon and a little too aggressively. I get it. I totally get it. But he did pay quite a price for making that maneuver. So now it's just a matter of taking advantage of the spotting that we have, as we have a lot of broadside targets to shoot at. And unfortunately, we're just not able to punish them nearly as often as I thought we would. However, I really like my positioning here. We have the destroyer that's out on the far right-hand side that is spotting these ships. And we're not in danger right now. We're very well concealed. Even though we do get spotted right here by the Alaska, we're not going to really be able to take a lot of shots from the other guys because they just don't have the angle on us. And until things change, which we have 2 caps, and yes, we are losing the Charlie cap on the far side of the map, and Alpha is currently being contested. I have no reason to push out here until they give me a reason to. Now, they are pushing the advantage. They are coming in really hot here, so I am forced to kind of have to back up. However, I got a Yamato behind me. The destroyer, like I said, is on the far right-hand side, which is providing all of this spotting, so kudos to him for doing that, as we get kind of punched in the nose by that enemy Alaska. We're just going to keep backing up. Hopefully not get nailed by the island, as the Yamato absolutely deletes that Alaska out there. So kudos to him. He actually plays a very, very good game, and we do really well. So now if you're looking at the score, Alpha is now being taken because we can't really stay on it anymore. They're pushing a little too aggressively. So we are going to back up. We have the points lead right now. We have the ship lead. There's no reason to be aggressive and stupid. I feel like a lot of games at this point in the match, people get lackadaisical whenever they have the lead. And they're like, oh, well, let's just push out and just finish these guys. And then you end up seeing all the blue team start to whittle away and die. So definitely don't want to do that. I want to keep playing smart, just like this Yamato's playing, just like our destroyer on the far right-hand side is providing that spotting. And unfortunately, we lose another destroyer there, so now it's 5v4. And even though the points are still pretty in favor of us, that could change rather quickly. The Yamato is still pushing around, but I want to start focusing this curve first, as we have a friendly cruiser that's off my left-hand side that is pushing in towards them. And because he's doing that, he's going to be getting a lot of focused attention, which makes me feel a little bit more confident pushing out here against this curve first, who is now starting to turn broadside. As long as we maintain a decent angle, I think we're going to be okay. We still have another destroyer that we need to worry about that's out there, as those torpedoes come in there to remind me of that fact. But as soon as we're able to clean up this curve first here, I need to keep an eye on the map to see if any other caps are going to start being flipped, where that other destroyer might be. So, again, positioning is key in all of these games. You want to make sure that you're not unnecessarily pushing out, kind of like that Schlieffen did. But I think he made that play not realizing how bad it was until it was a little too late. But staying behind islands, you can still utilize these ships rather well, and still be able to make a huge difference. Yeah, we're not moving out a whole lot, and it may seem like it's a little boring of gameplay, but that's what this ship can do, as we're able to take out the curve first, even though our cruiser died. And to be honest, he did kind of push out in front of all those battleships. As you can see, Bravo's being flipped, and then I see that he is detected after I popped my radar, because I wanted to potentially see where this other destroyer was at. And now that I know that he's in Bravo, I communicate that fact. My team acknowledges the fact that he's over there, and I'm hoping that we can get a reset here, holding my shot until the Jutland kind of makes that full turn. We take a shot at him even though it's AP, but right now I'm just interested in getting resets. We do. We get 3. Those torpedoes come in, and now I feel pretty confident that we can push in now that the torpedoes are gone, and it may take a little bit for him to get them back. So take another shot at him, reset him yet again, get a couple incapacitations for our efforts. And now that he's been reset and he's got to get the cap all over again, he is now vulnerable, as our team composition is now at a 4v2. And we know where both of them are at. Now, I could have pushed out and supported the to get that battleship down, but I play for the win, not for damage, and there's no reason to chase him out there. The destroyer that's currently in, or was currently in Bravo, is in Bravo rather, is the bigger threat, even though it seems like we have an overwhelming advantage and lead, which we do. But I never rest on my laurels in these games because I've played too many of them to know that the tide could change just like that. However, moving in this position did make the destroyer nervous enough to be able to get off the cap. We look back and see that the Montana is still kiting away. He's not even playing for the cap anymore. So there is no reason to push him. I would much rather push in with the Elbing to try and support him and take out this destroyer if we can. But that's really pretty much going to be the end of the game. This was a much more passive game, but one that I thought was important to show. For one, I wanted to look at the new buffed Alaska because I wanted to see just how well it did, how well it performed. And I think it performs really, really well. Now, in no way am I saying that the Alaska was ever bad. It just, apparently, according to Wargaming, it wasn't getting a whole lot of love, and it needed some in order to make it more of a viable option at Legendary. I'll let you be the judge of that. It is a lot tankier, which means it can take a lot more punishment now. But that doesn't mean that you unnecessarily put yourself in harm's way in order to try and test that theory. I feel like if we would have pushed earlier when all those battleships were out there, when we were with the Schlieffen, we would have experienced a much different game. There, the Jutland is being focus fired by a whole bunch, and he gets taken out by the Elbing there. But great teamwork on with our team. So let me know what you guys think about the Alaska. Have you taken it out since the buff rework? Let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. To be honest, it's still not my go-to ship at the tier, but it's not bad. Not bad for me. We don't take top spot, but we get pretty close as we almost hit 3,000 base, and the Yamato does with his 4 kills to our 2. So we both played very, very well. We had 5 players at 2,000 base XP. So overall, very good game. Very good team game, rather. So that's a look at the Alaska and how teamwork can make the dream work. Again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, young and old. I thank you so very much for tuning in. Thank you for sharing and subscribing. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for liking it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be safe if you're traveling, and I will see you in the next video. This is the USS Endeavor, signing off.